call to the member for Macquarie.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'm very pleased to support this motion from the member for Herbert, looking at the importance of defence industries for small businesses, particularly in my electorate of Macquarie. And, Deputy Speaker, the recent bushfire crisis has more than demonstrated how pivotal Richmond RAF base is for emergency operations in our area and up the eastern seaboard. And the New South Wales Rural Fire Service has permanently based a large aerial tanker and spotter aircraft at the base. Coulson Aviation Australia, which is an American company, is one of the suppliers of equipment, aircraft, technology and logistics to the RFS. And there's now a 10-year deal to provide flight and maintenance personnel for a Boeing 737 Fireliner and 2 lead and intelligence aircraft that are based at Richmond. Members would be aware that the Coulson Aviation crew, who tragically died on the 23rd of January while helping to fight the fires, had flown out of our Richmond RAF base. On January 30, the base hosted an emotional farewell for the 3 personnel: Captain Ian Macbeth, First Officer Paul Clyde Hudson and Flight Engineer Rick A. De Morgan Jr. And yesterday, of course, they were fittingly honoured at the memorial service in Sydney, along with the 22 other lives who were lost in that fire. But the establishment of the RFS aerial firefighting resources at Richmond is really good for our community and complements the existing defence industry that takes place there. It is the perfect place for these industries to be, and we'd like to see them expand, because our local economy in the Hawkesbury, and to a lesser extent the economy that feeds off the Glenbrook base at RAF base, the Hawkesbury economy has a really heavy dependence on this RAF base and all the associated operations, including the RFS operations. In the Hawkesbury, the RAF base employs just under 10% of people in the whole local government area. Just under 10%. The Richmond base has been an integral part of the Hawkesbury community for more than a century. Richmond RAF was the first base to be established in New South Wales, and as early as 1916, a school of aviation was operating at that site on Ham Common to train aviators for military flying, and that became the Richmond Aerodrome when it was taken over by the federal government in 1923, with the first squadron formed in 1925. So we have a very long and proud history in the area with the RAF and now the Army on the site. According to data from Regional Development Australia, defence is by far the largest employment sector inside the base. So that has about 1,500 people. But other significant sectors include aircraft manufacturing and repair services, that's more than 350 jobs, and other automotive repair and maintenance, engineer design and consulting services, which employ dozens of people. The presence of all this private sector activity means there are more high-skilled jobs for a whole lot of people, from aircraft maintenance engineers and computer technicians through to the support services. It means more people are likely to live and work in our region, and that also has a vital flow-on to our local economy. We value that. This defence industry component is really crucial. Labor's always been committed to ensuring local economic outcomes were a key objective of defence procurement. What we want to see is a greater engagement by local small businesses in the defence industries and as suppliers to the Defence Force. We want to see Australian manufacturing businesses in the defence industry supply chain. We want to see Australian technologies, and we want to see Australian workers working for Australian companies. I like the principle of Australian self-reliance, a self-sustaining Australian defence industry which allows us to maintain and sustain the ADF and all of its equipment without reliance on outside sources. It allows us to build technological capability and workforce skills and has really positive consequences for other industries and innovation. Defence innovation has led to so many things: the internet, drones, weather radar, microwave ovens, digital cameras and the EpiPen. We'd like to see more of that happening in the Hawkesbury. I want to see this engagement with businesses in my region. The defence industry at Richmond is long-term, but of course there is the threat that the all-new, shiny Aerotropolis, which is planned next to the Western Sydney Airport at Badgerys Creek, will tempt these industries away from Richmond. I'm very pleased to work with Hawkesbury Council, our Chamber of Commerce and Western Sydney University to make sure we have a thriving industry. And whatever incentives are being given to businesses to establish near the new airport should also apply to Richmond. It is one of the best things this government could do for our regional economy.